everybody, and welcome to Late Night News with Going Now. We're back.
We're back.
And there's just nothing going on. So, what? I don't know why we're here. I mean, we might as well just, talk bullshit for next hour, huh? Because there's really nothing, right? Right, Katie?
I mean, we could talk about some things.
It's always funny how when we do these shows, like I was like concerned last week that there was really nothing going on, and then I got an email, and then all of it hit the fan like literally early this week, and it was like, all right, here we go. So yes, well, it's woohoo! Welcome back. Yes, thank you. Very nice to see you, Vanessa. Hi, Anita. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so let's just get right into because it's going to be pretty hefty. And we, of course, are joking. Probably the biggest story we've ever covered is here, and yeah, we have our top story tonight, which of course is the draft to digital, buying and acquiring Smashwords. Drafted Digital and Smashwords, two pioneers in the ebook self-publishing marketplace, today announced that Drafted Digital will acquire Smashwords. The acquisition unites the industry's most two innovative and author-friendly publishing platforms into one, enabling the new Drafted Digital to drive to even greater success for authors, publishers, and sales partners. Drafted Digital and Smashwords are publishing platforms that enable 250,000 authors and publishers around the world to publish, distribute, market, and manage over 800,000 ebooks and 11,000 print-on-demand paperback books. The combined company will operate under the Drafted Digital name and will be headquartered in Oklahoma City. Chris Austin, who is the co-founder and CEO of Drafted Digital, will lead the combined company as CEO. Mark Coker, the founder and former CEO of Smashwords, will join the Drafted Digital management team as Chief Strategy Officer and board member. Both companies are entering the acquisition profitable and debt-free. And this, in a statement from Chris Austin, he says, "I'm pleased to welcome Smashword authors, publishers, employees, and partners to the D2D family. Early in our discussions with Smashwords, we immediately realized we can accomplish so much more for the indie author community by working together than working as competitors. The resources we once expended created duplicative systems can now be redeployed to ramp up our R&D investments into the next generation tools to empower authors and publishers." Mark Coker added his statement, which is, "I'm thrilled to join forces with Drafted Digital. Over the last decade, I've come to deeply admire Drafted Digital's team, technology, commitment to the authors. Our shared business model is key to our two companies' successes, and we put authors first by design. We only make money when our authors make money. This aligns our interests with the interests of our authors. Together, we will lead the next chapter of the indie author revolution." Drafted Digital authors will gain access to the Smashwords stores and its myriad of exclusive book marketing tools, including coupons, self-merchandising, author interviews, and the patent-pending Smashword pre-sale tool, which we're going to talk a lot about because that was a huge topic in the call. And Smashword authors will gain access to the new tools that simplify print and digital publishing, drive greater access. Among these tools are the D2D print. And then retailers and libraries will be served by companies that can expect greater title selection and unmatched merchandising recommendations. The new and merged company will offer retailers subscription services and libraries unprecedented data-driven insights into the world of the largest dedicated catalog of independently published books. Customers of the Smashwords stores can look forward to an improved store experience and an increased selection of books from the many great distributed by Drafted Digital. So the merger will close on March 1st of 2022. To minimize the workflow disruption for authors, publishers, and sales partners, the two platforms will combine their systems in a gradual and incremental step process. Authors and publishers of both companies can continue to utilize their current platform of choice, with the understanding that over time, both companies will gain access to a common dashboard, common distribution outlets, and expanded suite of new improved tools for book publishing, distribution, and marketing. So that is the story. as it's laid out in context. I went over that quickly because I think pretty much everybody knows that element of it, that aspect of it. What we're really going to sink our teeth into, that Katie and I both experienced, we both watched this, and we both took exclusive notes on this, and I took a lot of notes. I know
Yeah, you
Katie had
did.
a lot of thoughts on notes. And yeah, we all got the email. Yeah, right. So I'm looking forward to the new shared goodies. And I got to be up in 6 hours, but rest assured I'll be watching this episode as soon as I have time. Thank you, Vasheen. We appreciate that. But yeah, so I wanted to go over that really, really quickly. But and I probably did, and probably a lot of people who
First thoughts. What? Just hearing this, what are you thinking?
I was a little skeptical, to be honest with you, at the beginning. I didn't know who this benefited, to be honest with you, to start with. It looked like a positioning of cash grabbing that I didn't really understand.
Okay.
You know, I didn't get it from the draft to digital perspective almost a little bit more than I didn't get it from the Smashwords perspective. I almost kind of got it from the Smashwords perspective versus the draft to digital perspective, but I didn't understand it. But then hearing the call and listening to Chris and Mark, there's a lot more to it than the nuances and the environment and everything like that. I think it I don't know if it hugged me, but it patted me on the shoulder and the back a little bit, right? So
yeah, I mean,
what are your thoughts?
There's always that element of, are we seeing a dark side here? Because anytime you see two big companies merge to become one,
right,
there's usually something that's going to end up bad or wrong, or something that doesn't work out. But I see the benefits of draft to digital, and I've always loved draft to digital. I started with Smashwords. I have a soft spot in my heart for Smashwords, but
as we
Smashwords
do all.
Yes, Smashwords had the interface issues.
Yeah.
And I think if they'd corrected that, they would have been probably as popular as Draft to Digital, but they were always popular. They were always still being utilized because they had the coupon system, which
we'll
was
into that.
Huge. That right there was huge. And Draft to Digital never caught on to that. I never understood why. So each of them had their pluses and minuses, and they've always been kind of butting heads, competing with each other. But together, I see the benefits of them merging. Now, whether or not it was initiated by Draft to Digital or Smashwords, they claim it was Draft to Digital in the call, but I kind of wonder if it wasn't the other way around. Like Mark was looking for an opportunity. So I don't know. That was just, again, my thoughts when I was listening in on the call. I kind of felt like Draft to Digital is getting the better end of the stick here.
Yeah, so let's get into the call aspect of it. As Vanessa asked me, what is it about the call that made you feel better? I think I don't know specifically what I can pinpoint there. I took a lot of notes, and we can go over each note here. The call started, with them explaining who they were and why they did what they did and why it made sense to them and how it came about. And as Katie mentioned, Mark mentioned, this is Mark talking about how this happened. And then Chris chimed in after that. Mark talked about how he got a call. He got an email from Chris saying, what if we did this? And basically laid out what Chris was thinking. And then he looked at the numbers and he said there was two things that really stuck out to him about Chris's offer, that because he says that he got a lot of offers. He mentions that in this call, that he's been getting offers quite a bit, and over time he's been getting offers as well to always buy his company. And the two things that Chris did that he was very appreciative of was mentioning that they're in it for the indie author, and that he disclosed all the financials to Mark up front and told him, this is what we do. We can do this together and make it bigger. And that's kind of Mark was, I won't say he was salivating on the call, but you could see a little smile on his face when he said that. And then Chris, chimed in and said, and added the little colorization to that and the details and what his motivation was. And Ron says he trusts all big companies, and everybody's laughing.
Yes, trust the big companies always.
But this is a great question, and that wasn't asked, and that was not asked in the hour and a half that I saw. So
it was not, no, but
but go ahead.
Well, Mark still being on the team, he's not selling and walking away. He's still on the team, so I think he's going to try and maintain as much of what Smashwords customers and authors expect within this. He's going to push real hard for that.
I will say in this call, there was a lot more Smashword representation than there was Drafted Digital people. I felt there was a lot more questions about, hey, what are you doing to my Smashwords than what you're doing to my Drafted Digital. I felt like that was more of the sense I got from the call. I mean, it probably, and Kevin is such a great moderator, he probably 50-50'd it, and I took what it was from my own personal thought process, maybe, but I really felt like there was a lot of, hey, there was talk about the erotica, there was talk about the coupons, there was talk about the pre-sales, there was talk about there was talk not about the sales, but of things that Smashwords does on its site, like the author interviews, the interesting marketing tools that they offer that Drafted Digital does not.
There's talk, the New York Times.
That's reporting to the New York Times and not reporting to USA Today, which is weird. But USA Today can suck it.
I think it's more USA Today than it is Smashwords.
Yeah,
Mark's constantly trying to innovate towards author benefits.
Totally. And there was talk of, will it look different? What happens to my links on Smashwords? That was not a question asked by a Drafted Digital person. That was asked by a Smashwords person. There was all these different things that were bandied about, and it seems like there's two sides to this that make sense to make it into one puzzle. For Drafted Digital, it's the storefront. It's the storefront they don't have, right? Mm-hmm. It's the thing that they've been lacking, and the ebook presence that they really have kind of swept under the rug, and because they've been, rightfully so. I think it's a really smart marketing tool that they went after the print business and just kicked that door down. But It's those two elements coming together. It's peanut butter and chocolate, and the super concern that I had going into the call was the idea that we are just putting two pieces together that don't fit, right? And we're just keeping them the same for as long as we possibly can until somebody notices that it changed, which is kind of the approach that Amazon took when they took over Goodreads. It's kind of like, well, Goodreads, you could do your own thing, but we're just going to put our name on it. But keep that shitty, crappy site that you have, But that was addressed at the end of this call. I mean, we're skipping way ahead, but there was talk about libraries in the call. There was talk about what are they going to do about libraries, and Mark mentioned that they were the first to go after Overdrive, and that this was. That they're constantly adding things, and then Chris chimed in with his European distribution and his world distribution with libraries. There's a system in Australia. I didn't write it down, but there was one that he mentioned that from Australia that he was very happy about, and that they're going to combine those efforts and move that forward. That libraries were a big part of their marketing strategy for the future. A lot of this came through with this statement. There was often this statement, and that statement was, there's two statements that were often bandied about. One is, it made sense from a financial standpoint for the two companies to merge, because then with one interface, we save money on that one interface, and that money can be then redistributed to make more innovation and create that. Because one of the questions that was asked that I thought was absolutely probably the most brilliant question in the entire call, which was, you two are known to be competitors. And because you competed and because you pushed each other, there was innovation within the indie author community. There was innovation within the systems. People did things better. Now that you guys are one, will that become a lackadaisical issue because there's no real true competitor behind you? And they both assured, that was the first time that they assured that with the money that they have now, their whole goal is to continue to innovate. As the publishing industry becomes what it becomes, they're going to now. The other thing was all about indie authors. We're about the indie author. This is all about indie authors. We're trying to make the indie author life better. That was reiterated tenfold throughout this call 1,000 times. Two things they didn't mention, which was, now I have two things. I had one, but the Smashword sales and audiobooks. Audiobooks was not talked about a single moment in this 75-minute call. Nobody asked about it. Nobody talked about it, which I found very fascinating to me, with what we know about what's going on in audiobooks.
Well, that's a whole separate issue. They're really more the print and ebook concerned side right now.
But Smashwords does have an audiobook element.
Smashwords and Drafted Digital are linked up with Findaway Voices, but that's something else. We're just talking about Smashwords and Drafted Digital and what they can offer. And I do think that combining them gives them the opportunity to become something that can compete against Amazon. And when that person asked the question, I was thinking, are we forgetting that Amazon is out there and that Amazon owns 80% of the market share when it comes to books right now? You have to have something that is competitive, that is flashy, that offers a lot of different, bells and whistles, and still pays the author instead of all of the craziness that we deal with Amazon, if you're going to have them compete against Amazon. So yes, I do think that they are going to become something more powerful to compete against Amazon. Now, whether they can unseat them, don't know. Whether they do get lazy after they join forces, don't know. Can't predict the future that way. But the fact that they're joining together gives it the opportunity to become something that happens. And they're not the only ones out there. They're just the most well-known. So there is some competition out there.
Yeah, so see, that's why I have Katie here. She's Miss Positive. So if you've watched this show, if you watch this show at any point, you realize that Katie always gets to say the bad news. So she gets to be good cop tonight. So actually, she's gonna be bad cop in a little bit.
I'm always bad cop. It's fine. It's fine. I'll give you your medicine.
But I wanted to also mention a few things that was also mentioned on the call. That if there's a dispute and discrepancies between payouts, Chris said, this is his exact words. I made sure I wrote this exactly as he said it. The disputes will be given to the best rate available to the author of the two options. Some of it is undetermined because due to working with retailers, it's unknown at this time whether retailers will go along with it, but they plan to negotiate to get you the best deal, and we work to get the best thing for the authors. It has always been our goal. That's what he said.
And that's something to point out, is that both Smashwords and Drafted Digital only make money when the author makes money. So their incentive is to make something that is going to make an author the money that they need to off of their books. So other sites out there charge for different services, charge for different formatting, charge for, getting your books out there. Those I don't believe are true competitors. It's the innovations that Smashwords and Drafted Digital have both brought into the marketplace that allow them to be the powerhouse that they are.
You mentioned off-air, Publish Drive is probably the closest.
Yeah, Publish Drive would be the next closest, but they are more European-based, which, who knows, maybe Drafted Digital goes after them, and then we end up with a true monopoly monster there.
Yeah, there you go. Vanessa says you look so good as Becca.
Thank you, Vanessa.
But so that was one thing that I thought was very interesting because that was brought up. Then the other thing that was brought up was, the concern of losing reviews once the integration happens. And Chris was, again, this is Chris pointing out, they're not moving titles off native platforms so that reviews will stay intact. He said that at the beginning of that to answer that question. But toward the end of the call, he mentioned about that people need to really take a look at the drafted digital model and the dashboard and that versus staying put at Smashwords, because the integration will happen. So there's a slippery slope there. So I really hope that they can figure that out, because I think that's part of the integration issue that they're having. Because once they move it, I mean, they're gonna redirect the URL. But
Mm-hmm.
again, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there, but Amazon doesn't recognize redirects, right? They only recognize the native URL, I believe. So that would be interesting to me. So
I'm not sure how they're going to end up doing it. You would think that because ebooks on most of the other channels are bound to an ISBN, that the ISBN is what's going to tie that data to it. So if
Smashwords doesn't use those, though.
they do have places for you to put them in.
Yeah.
So if for some channels they did require ISBNs, and I believe Smashwords offered a free one. So there should be some ISBN tied to most of these. Anything in Amazon, no, it's not going to have an ISBN. So that one they're going to have to figure out. But anything I think for Barnes & Noble, and especially for iBooks, Apple required ISBNs for everything. Those that are already assigned an ISBN should be able to transfer over with the same ISBN and the same data attached to it. But the rest of them, I'm not sure. They've got a big job ahead of them trying to merge these two systems. And it almost sounded, correct me if I'm wrong, when I was listening to the call, that he was really kind of getting people to go over to Smashwords and go ahead, try the system out, make yourself an account, so that they could just get people to move their stuff over rather than having to merge the two databases together. So I think we're going to see Facebook, Smashwords get a facial update as far as what their interface looks like.
Yeah,
but they're going to port everybody over and make them create new accounts, is what it kind of sounded like.
That's the big thing that warmed my heart a little bit, because we all know the interface at Smashwords is so antiquated.
That was their biggest problem.
Yeah.
If they had fixed that.
But yeah, so continuing on into the notes here, this is something interesting. I did not know that the print aspect of Drafted Digital is in beta. You have to be invited into.
Yes. But it's because, like he said in the call, they can't just open the floodgates. It would overwhelm their system.
I wrote that down. Yeah, I wrote it's to control runs and identify bugs quicker for quicker fixes, but more and more authors are being accepted into the beta stream. This is what he said. They encourage everyone to sign up as soon as they want to. Mm-hmm. So,
but again, you have to have a Drafted Digital account to do that. So there was a lot of pushing everyone to go create the account over there, which most indies have accounts at both. But for those that don't, they're really nudging everyone towards Drafted Digital, which is going to be the dominant controlling site.
Mm-hmm. And then there was talks about the idea of what should I do right now, because this thing's not happening until March 1st, which March 1st is not that far away, which is weird for me to hear that from people. It just reaffirms my thought about people. But it's like, what should I do? And they were both very much like, do what you normally do. Don't change anything, So
eventually they're going to have to merge their two databases, and God bless whoever has to do that, because I don't want to be in the engineering department there trying to code all that crap.
And Anita brings up a good point. Smashwords doesn't have Amazon distribution, so would redirects matter? That's a good point. Interesting.
People are actually using Smashwords, or even Drafted Digital for that matter, to distribute to Amazon. I always suggest to my clients to do them separately. Control your Amazon at Amazon.
That's what I did.
Control everything else via, a main aggregator website.
That's what I did. I when I published with Smashwords, my first book, you just have to qualify for it. But had some issues, early versions of print and distribution problems. That's why it's still in beta. Yeah, that's what he was mentioning, that they wanted to keep it in beta so that they could work out the bugs a lot faster and find them a lot quicker. Chris did mention that in the call. But that's how I did it. I did them separately. And
and the reason for that is the advertising capabilities. If you're not direct with Amazon, you don't have access to their advertising suite of services. So it just made sense that way.
Yeah. So this is the other thing that was very, very paramount in this call. This was very much encouraged, and mostly by Mark. I have to say, mostly by Mark. Chris did say this, but mostly by Mark. If you like something that Smashwords does or that Drafted Digital does on their own, that you want to see the new company do, they encourage every single person out there to get in touch with Smashwords and Drafted Digital, not one or the other, but both. Get in touch with both of them and tell them exactly what you love about that, because that is what they're going to gauge on how they keep certain things around and what they're going, because they're going to have to trim some things away. Some things are going away. It's just inevitability with integration that's going to happen. It's because both of them believe that they do things better, right? So that's just going to be how these things work. It's just part of that, right? So also, the split payment system's not going anywhere. Chris wanted to reiterate that. Smashword authors will have access to getting paid in a different way. But again, as Katie so aptly pointed out earlier, you have to have a Drafted Digital account to do that. And you need to be moving over to Drafted Digital to do that. But if you're a Smashword author, you'll get that benefit once you're part of the Drafted Digital Smashwords thing. So I don't even know what to call it. I'm just going to call it a thing.
Yeah, I don't even know how they're going to merge accounts with the people who do have multiple accounts, because that. Oh, yeah, I do not want to be the person doing that. By the way, they're hiring too. That was another thing they kept repeating in the call was they're hiring. They clearly know that they need people who can code, because there's so much that they have to do to merge these two systems.
Nia says, but the qualification is high, so not a lot of people use it. Chris made it sound like that it was opening up. That's what he made it sound like to me. I mean, that's what I got from it. I might have been
grinder, man. Yeah, why? That was his biggest problem. Smashwords could have grown so much if their interface had improved. That was their biggest problem. That's why Drafted Digital got as big as it did, because their interface was pretty user-friendly and super easy.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, a lot of analysis has to be done. That was per Chris in the call. That was reiterated. And patience was really reiterated quite a bit. Yeah. Be patient, everybody.
They're this also thing is hiring customer service, too.
Yeah, they're going to be doing a lot of hiring with data people. If you can type some data, they're going to watch it. So, I don't know what they pay, but whatever. That's up to them.
All joking aside, these are potentially very positive things.
Absolutely. Look, two giants making a mark to fight another giant. That's they're joining forces. It's that weird TikTok that you see from The Office where it's that voiceover where Jim is asking Dwight, "Do you want to form an alliance?" Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. Good. Let's form an alliance. That's basically what this is.
Let's just hope it's for the better. Like I mentioned this before the show, but I just got the feeling like it wasn't a mutual beneficial, yay, let's do this. Like it was definitely one-sided. It's kind of had to happen, not did happen, because they joined forces. So I'm hoping that it is for the better. I want this to be a good thing for everybody.
Vanessa, I would say, yes, I would create one, but I would stay with what you're doing right now with Drafted Digital, because I think you having a Smashword account is probably not as important as Smashword people having a Drafted Digital account. I think that's the more...
Yeah, Drafted Digital is the primary. So if you have an account with them, then don't worry about it.
Something weird's going on with the comments here. I can't get to the bottom one. So if there's one below this, I apologize. I have to wait till it scrolls up. I apologize. For some reason tonight, StreamYard decided to hide things from me. Thank you, Katie. I was ranting about this Tuesday. Okay. And so, I mean, Mark Coker made a statement at the end that kind of reiterates what Katie was saying, and that's he plans to stick around because that was a question somebody asked: Is Mark
Mm-hmm.
going somewhere? Mark says he plans to stick around. He has a vested interest in making this a success, and it's very important to him to make sure this merger becomes a huge success, not only for Smashword authors, but D2D authors as well. He wants this to be the best thing that has ever happened to the broader indie community. That's that that adjective I don't understand, but okay. Um, Chris says he did not want Mark to leave. He needed him to stay to take on the new team atmosphere as chief strategy officer. They look forward to your feedback and they really do want your feedback. That's what they
Yes.
said. And they're going to integrate all of that. But again, at the very end, the one thing that Chris was very adamant about was please be patient. Please be patient. So that's the call in a nutshell. We saved you an hour of your life by going through there. I think we covered it
It
all.
was interesting to listen to, though. I mean, the hour went
Yeah,
by quickly listening to it because
and,
it affects
and
us all. So really, when something affects you, you're more apt to pay attention and you're more interested in what the answers are going to be. And more than that, it was the vibe that I got from listening to these two that
yeah,
really kind of
you'll form an opinion about both of these gentlemen and both of these companies by what you saw there. I'm not going to share my opinion here, but you'll form one yourself, and I
yep.
think that's important too. I think that'll either give you confidence or maybe sway you. I don't know, but I have to say one thing about the call itself and the stream and everything like that. I want to give mad kudos to Kevin Tomlinson for moderating this. He was as energetic as you could possibly be. He was he was very apt and very much into your questions.
Yep.
It was like your best friend asking it's like you whispering in your best friend's ear and he asking the question the way that it's so that it doesn't get misconstrued. He was very good with both of these gentlemen. He handled it very, very well. Awkward moments, whatever, uh, uncomfortable moments, very nice moments. Kevin was always at the same level. I don't know that I could have done that as well as he did. Kudos to him. I thought he was really fantastic. So I want to give him a shout out because I thought that's the one opinion I will share. I thought
He
that
was
he
a
was
very good
really, really
host,
good.
and he did. He tried to balance the questions out, to bring in something unique perspectives. He tried to balance between the Smashwords and the Drafted Digital people in the audience, so that both of the CEOs could answer the questions from their side. And I have to give Mark some credit though. His answers were very well laid out.
Yeah,
He definitely spoke to the passion of what went behind creation of Smashwords, and that
yeah,
is giving authors the tools they need to be successful. And as
yeah,
long as that is the framework that continues into this merger, this is a good thing.
yeah.
You've got the flash and beauty and ease of use of Drafted Digital with the backbone and utility of Smashwords. You've got a really good combination here. As long as they keep that focus on giving the authors the tools they need, as long as they don't make money unless the authors make money. So
You have two competing elements that did two very good things very, very well. Now they're going to do them together. I think that is always a positive. Now the only thing is, are they going to fix the bugs within both of their sides that have made them kind of competitors versus partners and allies? And that is where this will get interesting to me. This is where I have reservation, but I have optimism as well. It sounds like from the call, everything is headed toward let's get into the 21st century finally, and for both of us, and let's do this thing the way it's supposed to be done. Show Amazon that you can do this with the people that really matter, and make it about the people that really matter, which is the indie author and the publishers. That's what really matters. Yeah. Kevin, always fun on live streams. Yes, he's very good. I love a lot of indie-focused companies because they're so responsive to authors. Plotter like that, publisher right. Yeah, exactly, absolutely. And I think both of these companies have done that very, very well. Mark has always been open. Anytime I've talked to Mark, he's always been candid with me and open with me. And I give him all the credit in the world. I had never met or talked to Chris ever, so this was my first experience with Chris. I will say I've had conversation with people from Drafted Digital before, and they've always been the same way. They're always very nice. I thought they were a Canadian company for a while because I only dealt with a lot of the Canadian side of it. So it was always really great, reassuring to me that there was some nice, because they were nice. I said, I did that thing where I associate nice people with Canadians. So,
sure, because
but
the rest of us are all jerks, right?
right. Americans suck. Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, I think we went through it all. I think that was a pretty good.
I told you I was going to take up most of the show.
Yes.
There's so many talking points on that.
Yeah. So let's pivot. And this is important to authors too. I know that this is a story about a film festival. I know that, but it is important for one reason and one reason only. If you plan to go to San Diego or Dragon Con, I highly, highly would think a lot about either finding an insurance policy, finding some way to minimize your cost. Because what is happening right now, there's a lawsuit that is being investigated that is possibly happening because what happened was Sundance. Shit, I almost slandered the wrong film festival, which would have been bad. Sundance, up until 2 weeks before the festival started, was still thinking about doing an in-person event. It was only 2 weeks beforehand that they had decided to just go completely virtual. Well, it was reported by TMZ that in that process, when they canceled all the live screenings, they mentioned that they have a no refund policy, that policy has always been in place, that it's not something that's new for them. TMZ also reported that a lot of the hotels in the area, a lot of the venues that were dependent on this revenue, were not refunding, down payment policy for parties. That hotels were not refunding hotel fees. That there was a lot of that going on. One example was the Abrege Resorts, which was charging just a measly $3,798 per night. That's $4,000 almost per night. That is right for some of the suites. And guess what? It's non-refundable. The hotel is telling guests to come anyway and just enjoy the skiing and reschedule, or just reschedule. Last year, Sundance made a point of just, rolling this over, as most festivals have done. They've said, just roll over. You don't have to pay for next year. You're grandfathered into next year. You have a spot. Just roll all that over. Well, Sundance then it said, why don't you donate it to our institute, because we're dependent upon that money. And this is an email that one of the TMZ guys got back when they reached out to the Sundance Institute, and it said, thank you for reaching back out. Your festival purchase directly supports our nonprofit arts organization and provides artists with critical support year-round. We understand your disappointment in not being able to attend in person. Despite the most ambitious protocols, the Omicron variant, with its unexpectedly high transmittable rates, have pushed the limits of health, safety, travel, and other infrastructures across the country, and particularly in our Utah locations. Making the shift to an online and necessary adjustment during the pandemic, ticket products sold were hybrid packages where tickets could be used for online or in-person interchangeably. The package was not sold for only in-person or for only online. At the time of purchase, all products were noted as non-refundable on the ticketing page in the terms and conditions. We're not able to give refunds on a non-refundable product. A lot of investigating went into this through many of the local newscasts, Fox 13, went over and they interviewed some folks. They interviewed a Utah film critic who said many were stung by Sundance's refusal to issue refunds. Having spent $400 expecting to attend the films in person, she was angrily left and felt betrayed by after supporting the festival passionately since 2016. They could convert their packages into charitable contributions to the Sundance Institute, which many found insulting and inadequate. One festival goer has traveled to Sundance every year for the past 50 years, but when Sundance refused to refund his $750 ticket package, he remarked to Fox 13 that they burned me, and I just said I'm never coming back. So this is something to be aware of. I mean, these companies have finally, they've done as much rope lending as they're possibly going to do in this idea. And, that's not a writer's con, but, this happened in writers' cons too. This is not just, and Mark's Canadian, so he does have a presence. Yeah, all right.
Jerk. I love that because the delay. Sometimes comments can come in and really sound.
That was referring to me.
Out of context. Out of context, jerk.
But yeah, so I will say, I think this is more apt to the bigger cons where you spend a lot of money. The Dragon Cons, the San Diego Comic Cons, and I know that San Diego actually went through this the first year, and then they finally caved and gave everybody their money back. They were very beholden on the tickets at first, and then they caved. Well, so this there's a company out there that's looking to, yes, welcome to Hollywood. That's the Hollywood presence for you.
No, thank you.
Oh, gotcha. Casa Hotel, yeah. Okay. No, I wasn't a jerk. The hotel was a jerk. Okay, I got it. But you can apply that to me too. I said Americans suck.
You're gonna keep flashing that up. You love it.
But anyway, so I wanted to bring that up simply because I want people to be wary of the idea, and this is going to be something that goes on, and in our Sue Happy culture, in our idea of this thing's not going to fly. This is not going to hold water because Sundance had this policy in place. I looked back at a 2016 article where somebody complained about it, and they had the non-refundable policy in place then. So this is something that they've covered their ass with quite a bit. And I don't know what they're going to do with the money if they're not giving it back to you. They're probably just putting it right into the foundation in your name. I don't know. But yeah, I got it. But
that's gonna hurt their bottom line, though.
Yeah, and that's true. Most con membership tickets are not refundable, but a lot of them are rolling it over.
Yeah,
and Sundance is refusing to do that. They're saying that no, you could go online and just get the real better package online. We'll give you access to the things we weren't going to give you access to since you only paid $400 and not $800. That's what they were kind of saying. But to make amends, but does that really appease anybody's sensibilities? There's one reason you go to Park City if you're going to Sundance, and that is to go to Sundance and experience Sundance. It's like going to fucking Disneyland, seeing the celebrities and standing outside the window, fogging up the window as you watch celebrities talk in their ski garb, or get on the slopes and you go skiing too. That's also part of it. Hotels don't refund deposits for events unless it's canceled because the government. Yes, yeah, that's yes, that is a great point, Vanessa. Most people do need to read that, and so that's part of it too. But Sundance is not one of those places, but yeah, it's. So I just wanted to make people aware of it. So, that's all I wanted to do with that. So
something to keep in mind because cons are opening back up. So, make sure that the terms and conditions allow for rollover or some form of compensation if it gets canceled, or maybe consider, waiting another year before going.
Yeah. All right. So let's do this. We're going to pivot a little bit from our agenda. I'm going to I'm going to give us a break here and let CL Can take over the show for about 10 minutes. She's got a great marketing tip for everybody. Stick around. This is really great. She's got a lot of don'ts that you shouldn't be doing in marketing. A lot of us is common sense, and a lot of us already know this, but it's always good to be reminded of it, and she does a really great job of that. And then Katie's going to be back with something else that you really want to listen to if you have an audiobook on ACX, because they're at it again. Those bastards.
Hey guys, CEO Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, and I'm bringing you your monthly marketing tip. And I know I talk a lot about the do's of marketing on this segment, and today I want to switch it up a little bit and talk about some of the don'ts, because it's just as important to avoid these pitfalls as it is to make sure that you're going in the right direction. I see so many new authors and inexperienced authors doing some of these things, and actually some of them can cause some serious damage not only to your sales, but to your career as a whole and your credibility. What is the first don't? The first one that I would say would probably be these buy my book posts. We're going to start off with baby steps. Buy my book posts are mostly just annoying. They don't send the right message to your reader. They don't make your reader feel like they are a valued person. They make your reader feel like a number, and that you're just trying to get their money to sell your product, and that you don't really care about them or their experience. And that's not what social media is for. So putting posts up on all of your social medias with constant buy my book, that's the only thing that you ever post is, hey, will you buy this now? This is on sale, come buy this. That is not what people want to see when they get on social media. And it's not a way for you to really get to know that reader and develop a relationship with them, which is the point of social media and, having fans. The next thing is kind of related, and I see a lot of new authors do it, is DMing people to buy your book, which I think is even worse than posting on your own profiles. Nobody wants to get that random DM, especially like authors that are more successful, authors that have a lot of following or that are really busy in the first place. They don't want their DMs filled up with people like, hey, will you buy my book? You need to support your fellow authors and buy this book. Authors are not the people that you want buying your book. Yes, some of us will buy your book, probably, if it is our genre, if it is something that we think we'll enjoy, or if we really want to support you. And usually that is because you're a good friend and you've supported us or something. But authors are not the person that you want to buy your book. You want to find your niche audience and the people that would really enjoy it and get them to buy it. And DMing people is not the way to do that. It's just looked down upon. It can get you shunned out of certain communities. And it's just a very, very unprofessional. Next, we're going to move on to something that's a lot more damaging. Follow for follow threads. I know a lot of people do this and you're like, oh, I want to support my fellow authors. Yet again, supporting your fellow authors is great. You can do that in a whole bunch of different ways, but following them on another platform, if you don't genuinely like their content, if you're not reading their books or reading even the same genre that their books are, it's not going to help them. It's actually going to confuse the algorithm of whichever platform that you're following them on. And it's not going to help them in any way. It's actually going to harm who they reach. And I know a lot of people think that's the best way to get started, and that's how you get a lot of followers. But if you're getting dead followers that don't actually engage with your content, then they're useless in the first place. It's much better to have a few followers who are highly engaged with whatever that you're posting, which is hopefully not buy my book posts, and have them, commenting and liking and reacting. That's much better than having 10,000 people who never say anything, never even look at your post, especially like on things like Instagram and TikTok. If they don't interact with whatever you're posting, after a while, Instagram and TikTok, they'll stop showing them. Same thing with Facebook, they'll stop showing your content. So really, it's just a meaningless number that is not helping you advance, not helping you make any more sales, none of that. Now we're going to get on to something that's much, much more sinister, which is and I think a lot of people don't know how sinister it is because they haven't put it into context when they think about it. but I'm talking about using copyrighted images and videos. That's on TikTok, that's on any platform, anytime you're trying to, well, you shouldn't post them in the first place. I mean, hey, I like Tom Hiddleston, I'm going to like put a post of him up. That's fine. You're not selling anything. But if you're trying to sell your book and you're using Tom Hiddleston as a model for your main character, and you made a whole video to put on TikTok using Loki, like images and video from Marvel and audio, and you're using it to sell something, then that is actually illegal. And it's the same with using pictures that are copyrighted, and it might not even be of a celebrity, which that's something you definitely shouldn't be using. Even if you're going and just Googling stuff, if you just Google hot dark-haired guy and you just use whatever pictures come out and do not check the copyright on them, then you're actually stealing that person's work, and that model has not given you permission, and they have not been compensated for you using them. It's the same thing as someone going out there and just giving away our stories for free. We don't want that. So we should not be stealing from other artists and creatives. And it's actually very illegal. You can get put into jail. You can have huge, huge fines. You can be banned forever from different platforms. So please stop using copyrighted stuff. If you're selling anything that is your work, using someone else's work, you should see where the problem lies with that. Okay, and the next thing is not quite as sinister, and it won't get you in as much trouble, and it's just going to send you on the wrong path. Instead of going forward, you're going to be going sideways, and you're going to be taking the long way around to the goal that you're trying to get to. And that is joining promos that are far too broad, ones that are multi-genre, and I'm not talking like, oh, they're fantasy and they're sci-fi and they're the same general feel. I'm talking about there's like erotic romance over here, there's Christian fantasy, there's hard sci-fi in the middle, military, historical fiction. It's all kind of smushed together in one promo. You do not want to do that. You do not need something that's that broad. You need to find your niche audience, figure out what they like and how you can provide it for them, and then market to that audience. Even when you're trying to find new people, you want to keep in mind what your books are about and the type of people who like your books. I see a lot of book funnel and story origins that have so many different kinds of books in there that I don't know how anyone is benefiting from it. And a lot of them are not. They're just having a lot of freebie seekers kind of sign up. You also don't want to be doing things with large gift cards for anything to do with your newsletter. If you're joining, I just recently saw something where there's going to be over 100 authors in a giveaway or something. And that's too many authors, and the stuff's not genre targeted enough. And if it's not genre targeted, you're not going to get quality subscribers. I don't know how many times I've probably said this on just this segment, but you want people who are your niche, who write in your genre. So keep that in mind with any type of promo. If you're list building, if you're giving away freebies or something on BookFunnel or on any of those sites like that, if you're joining a multi-author giveaway, whatever you're doing, try to keep it very nailed down to your type of readers. And you need to make sure you can discover exactly who your type of readers are. I promise you, you will do 1,000 times better with a small group of people who really like what you're doing than a huge bundle of people who have no idea who you are or why you're suddenly emailing them. So, okay, and the last tip that I have for you is don't see other authors as competition. A lot of people say, oh no, she's writing the same kind of book as I am, and I bet she's going to be even better at it than I am. Have some confidence in yourself and befriend that other person, and you guys could collaborate together. You could do giveaways together. You could do newsletter swaps. There's a lot of things that you could collaborate with that other person and make you both more sales and have a bigger influence than just saying, oh, I want to stay away from her. I don't want to get involved with him because I don't want him stealing my ideas, or I don't want him to steal my readers, or, you know, all those other crazy things that come with thinking that other people are your competition. Especially indie authors, we are not each other's competition. We are each other's cheerleaders. We are here to help, and you helping us will help you. It's kind of like a karma thing. It goes, what goes around comes around, and we remember who helped us and we help them back. Okay, that's all for me this month. I hope you guys have a wonderful February, and I will see you next month. Also, if you have any questions, remember you can always email me at info@fiction-atlas.com. Bye.
All right. Hey, who is that on my screen? It's not CL Karen. She's not in her car. Yeah, she's doing a new thing this year. So
Gorgeous.
yes.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So she had nice. Anita says I had nice authors push my YouTube past 100 subs tonight. So yeah, authors are great. JD says beyond late, but hey, screw it. Happy Friday, my peeps. Hello, sir. Welcome. And I love the support of the author community. Woohoo! Yes, and yes, for sure. So all right, so we got a little bit of time here. So let's jump right into the next topic. And so, Katie, tell us all about how ACX is screwing us now.
It's always the way, isn't it? So a lot of authors have been reporting lately, this is tax time. We all got to get our forms together and we've got to, do our taxes. But authors have been reporting discrepancies in the 1099s that they're getting from ACX. What they're seeing is it's almost double what they actually received. This is happening across Facebook and Reddit and all social media, actually. Any authors that are talking about ACX are talking about this right now. So ACX put out a notice that many people did not receive that stated that there was some new tax reporting for 2021 and that the royalty share payments are now being processed as the total amount that was earned with the subtracted amount to the narrator being listed as kind of just actually not even there. It's showing just the total numbers as far as I've been seeing from many of the reports on social media. So what they're telling us from ACX, their official statement is new for 2021 tax reporting. ACX contracts were updated on January 1st, 2021. These changes impacted tax withholding and reporting processes for royalty share payments. They go on to say, how does my tax reporting change? On tax reforms, we are reporting your total income to the IRS, which in the case of royalty share payments includes both your net royalty as well as the payment made to the producer on your behalf. So that's everything. That's not just your share. This means that if your gross royalty earnings were $100 and you're paid $50, the producer is also paid $50, you receive a tax form that lists $100. You're going to need to review this with your tax advisor and deduct the amount paid to your producer as a potential expense to you. Now, this makes no sense why they would be doing this. The author didn't make the payment. ACX created the contract. ACX created the royalty share split. ACX controls the pricing. They report to you what you got. That's it. When we report our taxes, we report what we got paid. To put the burden onto the author and make them responsible for all of it and have to 1099 other people, the producers, which we don't always have the information for, that's not how the system works.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to act as if they are a payment processor when they control 99% of the production. So there's not much we can do about it right now. The warning of get a hold of your tax professional is definitely apt here. If you received a 1099 and it's showing you that full amount, you need to get a hold of a professional who knows the tax codes and make sure that if you have to send out 1099s, which were due January 31st, so you're already late, that you get those out immediately. If you can report it as a byline, as a deduction, whatever, do that. Make sure you have all of your statements. Go download every single one of your monthly statements if you haven't already, and make sure you have those on hand because you don't want to get audited. And the thing is, with a potential audit, there is no paper trail, really. The contract that we have has been changed multiple times since we probably signed it. ACX has changed the way they do things, and we're basically beholden to them. If you're locked into a royalty share, that's 7 years you're locked in with them. So do yourself a favor. make sure you've got a tax professional to help you. And in the future, maybe consider creating a S Corp, an LLC, something for yourself so that you are a little bit more protected from these kind of changes. Because those of us who are under our own business category, we don't have to worry about this as much. We don't get the 1099s, and we can better control the inflow and outflow of money for tax reporting purposes. So please, please, please double check your numbers and get a hold of a professional if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Oof, this just motivates me to go audio so big.
It's all I'm seeing all over social media, and I haven't even been online that much. But
Gosh, if you're
everywhere I
waiting
go, they're talking about this, and it's frightening because getting audited for something you didn't even realize you had to do, and then that's it, you're screwed. Your business is done.
And this statement right here makes me laugh because what's the last? The IRS is going to be the last person to catch on to anything.
I don't know how they get away with this because they're not a payment processor. They can't push all of that onto us when they control the contract, they control the pricing, they control the royalty split, they make the payments. There's no way they should be able to do this to authors. We have nothing in this.
Yeah. As
But
Vanessa
that is
said,
how it's being done. So please
makes
protect
no
yourself.
sense. Makes no fucking sense. They're paying the producers. Yeah, it's just so fucking true.
But this started with people reporting that they were getting double the amount. And for some people who have a lot of sales, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're now showing up on a 1099 when they're like, no,
there
this is
you go.
not how much I made.
There you go.
And actually the Authors Guilds are aware of this too. Mm-hmm. If you're following the FAIR group for narrators and rights holders, that they've been talking about this. 20 Books 50K has been talking about this. I mean, it is literally all over the internet. Everybody who is dealing with this right now has been up in arms about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. We live in weird times, huh? Monopolies, and this is what happens when you get a monopoly. You get pushed around quite a bit, from
which
these
is
fucking
why
companies.
we have to worry about it when companies merge.
Right. And we'll be talking about this, of course, on Sunday on This Week in Indies for sure. I'm sure tomorrow night there will be. I know that there's a plan with the Spilling Ink show tomorrow night. Katie can talk more about that if she'd like. You want to tell everybody about what you got going on tomorrow night?
We've got a fun episode tomorrow. It's going to be one of our chatty episodes. Last month we did an impromptu astrology episode because we didn't have anything else to talk about and we'd lost a guest, and so we thought it would be fun to play off of that a little bit this weekend. So we're going to do a little authors reading the stars this weekend.
And I'm going to do something that CL Canada did not want us to do, but go buy Katie's books. That's her buy the book. Go buy her books, everybody, because she writes, as you can see, she's a prolific writer. Although she hasn't put something out in a while, we're all aware of that, and we all cattle prod her on a daily basis for that reason. But yes, definitely go check out her books. You can check out mine too; they're around. So yeah, that's our show, everybody. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. I hope it was worth it. Thank you so much for joining us, and we really appreciate it. And Katie, you know what to do.
You got to lead me into it,
Katie. Why should we all be invested in what we talk about tonight?
Because it's always time to go indie now.
Wrong.